This lecture today, I think, is very important in regard to what you know about the power of nutrition as found in nature. And it's constructed around two textbooks that I was given, one very special one. It's entitled Limeys, and it was given to me by a relative of Dr. James Lind, who did the original vitamin C studies in the British Kingdom, and it was a graduate of Edinburgh School of Medicine. And I lectured there twice and found out to this day he is one of the most illustrious members, graduates of that medical school. And they have auditoriums named for him, and they respect him to this day because he conducted the first controlled clinical experiment ever conducted on the deck of His Majesty's ship Salisbury in 1747. In addition, we will refer to information that is in the book, The Real Truth About Vitamins and Antioxidants by Dr. Judith DeCava, who is, I would say, a disciple of Dr. Royal Lee, DDS, who went all over, particularly the Americas, trying to inform everyone that would listen about the power of more comprehensive nutrition. With that, I will go to the first slide, which I hope gets across to you why I am attempting to give these lectures to put into your mind facts rather than there's a lot of power in faith, which if you look in the dictionary, it says faith is based on information which there's no proof. What I want to give you is knowledge that is based on scientific truth about the power of more comprehensive nutrition. And we'll start today with what you need to know about real vitamins made in nature. Thank you. The first slide that we have in this lecture, I think, is important. And I've tried to tell you this before, but I'm trying to really get across the fact that knowledge and proven facts put into the brain, which the function of the brain is the mind, are extremely powerful, particularly when you know that modern science has documented the power of more comprehensive nutrition. Why is this so important? We are surrounded by, in our society, professionals and other lay people that firmly believe that if you have any deviation from normal health, whether it be physical, mental, or emotional, there is a pharmaceutical drug for it. Unfortunately, father of pharmacology pegged the problem with this is that pharmaceutical drugs interfere with the biochemistry and physiology of the normal function of our body. And this interference is to reduce symptoms and make you more comfortable. And the most ideal drug is if you quit taking the drug, the symptoms come back because it does not address the cause for symptoms. Whereas the power of nutrition is that it works in harmony with the engineering and design of life that is written in DNA in our genes that control cellular synthesis of bioactive molecules on an assembly line that's in every cell, and that this runs the normal biochemistry and normal physiology of the body, and it attempts to correct the problem of any deviation from normal. And what is most remarkable is that this is found to be safe, to be effective because it supports engineering and design of life. It's coded in DNA. And what causes even more problems, and it's a disruptive technology because it is exceedingly more economical than pharmaceutical drugs that are in patent protection that are very expensive. Now, I want to go over this again with you. It's that medical science terms this ability of the body to properly function, by normal action of the genes with optimal nutrition is the placebo effect. The placebo effect is not a false effect. It is what the body can do with its innate genetic and nutrient resources if provided optimally. What one consciously knows to be true, which is a function of the mind, impacts the unconscious mind that in turn has an impact on the autonomic nervous system. That is the automatic nervous system that controls your heart rate, your blood pressure, your body temperature, the movement of food along the GI tract. You don't do this by thought or by activity like moving your arm. It works automatically. Well, this autonomic nervous system has the capacity to influence gene expression or the code of DNA that orchestrates cellular synthesis of bioactive compounds by the little assembly line every microscopic cell. And it's these bioactive compounds that conduct the biochemistry of life. Therefore, what you know and believe to be true and have seen the fact is extremely powerful, even more powerful than belief based on faith with no proof. This knowledge drives the placebo effect in your body, what it can do on its own with the code that's in the genes. Now, medicine conducts formal blinded clinical studies trying to eliminate this powerful placebo effect. That's why they have double-blind placebo controls. Not only the patients don't know if they're getting a false product or the real thing, and even the investigators don't know, and they even call it a triple blinded effect when the statisticians that look at the results don't know who or which individuals are receiving the tested product. Now, in the New England Journal of Medicine, decades ago, I read a letter to the editor from a medical school professor that he wrote in and said, we need to spend more effort on studying the placebo effect because it is so powerful that medicine goes to great lengths to try to eliminate it to see if what they are doing really works, and that it is the placebo effect has no toxicity or untoward side effects, and it's infinitely more economical. I am reading a book called You Are the Placebo Effect, and this letter to the editor said more studies should be done to study this. And in fact, in this book, it gives time and time again that over the decades, studies have been done to try to study the placebo effect. And one of the most important ones that I read was at one of the dental schools, they had 40 patients that they had the wisdom teeth removed, which is a very painful operation, particularly post-surgical. And they were given a capsule and told, this will reduce your pain. This is what went into their ears and their eyes and their brain to function their mind. And in fact, the capsules were not anything but sugar pills, yet it worked because they believed it would work. Then they did something that I had never seen before. They gave these patients an injection of a compound that blocks opioid products binding to nerve fibers that is essential to reduce pain. And by giving this Narcan injection, the pain came back on all these people that had been receiving the sugar pills. And then they analyzed the thing and found out that the body was making endomorphins that are made by the body that bind to the receptor sites of opioids, pharmaceuticals. And by kicking off the endomorphins, the pain came back. And so it eliminated what the body is able to do based on the power of belief. So this lecture series is an effort on my part to maximize the placebo effect on your body, that you know that supplying nutrient molecules that support the engineering design of life and cellular synthesis to make bioactive molecules that moves the body's activity to normal. Now, in the early days of me being a physician, I was induced to be a distributor for Amway, and they were very focused on selling Marciano cherries out of a Caribbean island, and said it was more powerful than FDA-approved USP vitamin C, that the natural vitamin C in these cherries was much more effective. At that time, as I put on the slide, why, I did not know, and science did not know why natural cherries were better than the FDA labeled vitamin C. Before this lecture is over, I think you will know why. Now, I will share with you from that book about limeys, the story of Dr. James Lynn, and then Dr. St. Georgi, PhD, from Hungary, in his two research papers in Nature, a magazine journal in Britain, about his, pardon me, I'm going to sneeze. Pardon me. Two papers he wrote in Nature on his research on vitamin C. Now, this is a significant problem that I'll have to tell you, I've been a physician over 50 years, and I have never seen a patient with vitamin C or scurvy. However, let me read you something. 1740, Commodore George Anson left Portsmouth, England, with 7 ships and nearly 22,000 men. He returned 4 years later, sailing over the British Empire with under 600 men. Of those 22,000, only 4 were killed by the enemy. The rest died not of results of war or weather or misnavigation, but of scurvy. So 21,400 men died of scurvy. And so Dr. James Lynn decided to attack this problem. Now, he was initially known as a ship surgeon. And you could become a ship surgeon by just spending some time with a formal physician, just being his assistant, and then they would let you serve on the ship. He conducted in 1794, 1747, I got that wrong, on the deck of His Majesty's ship, the Salisbury, the first formal controlled clinical study ever done. And to this day, the medical school that he went back to, because nobody would pay any attention to him as a ship surgeon and sort of a folk medical person, he went back to medical school on the belief if he could get his MD and then tell them about his study, that people would accept it. Well, it was such a deviation from what everybody expected. He had a terrible time doing it. And as I say, on this ship, Dr. Lynn conducted the first clinical medical study where he had different groups of men with scurvy, and he gave them different alleged benefits that were word of mouth spread around in the Navy that was benefits for scurvy. Well, he had heard that oranges benefited scurvy, and citrus was the only benefit observed by this ship surgeon. And he even found out that lime juice was even better. Now, in the 1930s, Albert St. Georgi, a PhD researcher, started to study this natural vitamin C. And we have a picture of him here. And a very interesting statement he made was, and you should keep this in mind, I think, he says, a vitamin is a substance that makes you ill if you don't eat it. That's pretty practical determination. And why do I say you really need to consider this? Well, when I was in medical school, we never had a lecture, no one in clinic, nothing was in the books about attention deficit disorder or attention deficit hyperactive disorder. And lo and behold, in the research that I was involved in, by providing children that were taking drugs for this, it caused a lot of problems, that a mixture of vegetables and fruit powders, when added to the diet, eliminated this problem. And these students not only got over their dysfunction of their brain, but they improved their athletic performance. And this not only extended from students, but even to professional athletes, that optimized nutrition improves body function. Now, Dr. St. Georgi from the University in Hungary received the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 1937. And in 1936, he published his first publication in the journal Nature, where he took guinea pigs and that had been denied a diet that had vitamin C in it, and he gave them what he called extract from vegetable material, I believe spinach, vitamin C complex, he called it, and I emphasize complex. He called it citrin dietary supply because it was so high in citric fruits. Now, in the guinea pigs, he showed that the vascular lesions were prevented and even reversed with this vitamin C complex he also called hexauronic acid. Again, trying to emphasize it was a complex molecule made in the plants. Now, Dr. St. Georgi had his second publication in 1939, again in the journal Nature. And what he basically said is that the pharmaceutical industry offering ascorbic acid synthesized from glucose is not the complete vitamin C complex molecule as produced in nature's plants. He went even further to show with the guinea pigs that 2 milligrams of natural vitamin C was more bioactive. This was vitamin C extracted from a plant material than 1,000 milligrams of U.S. pharmaceutical grade ascorbic acid. And I'll show you exactly why they were making this ascorbic acid and calling it vitamin C. But the natural vitamin prevents vascular lesions of this malady that particularly influenced sailors of the British Navy. If you recall, the British Empire was worldwide, and they said that the sun never set on the British Empire. So they had ships all over the world with personnel on it. And it's recorded in history that over 2 million British sailors died of scurvy during the high points of the British Empire. Now, the second book, and before we're going to get more modern truth about vitamins, is this book, The Real Truth About Vitamins and Antioxidants by Dr. Judith DeCava. She was a disciple of Dr. Royal D., who is noted for his stressing everywhere he went about we should eat whole food. And his legacy is a company that still exists called Standard Process Incorporated, where, again, whole foods as they occur in nature or as their product line. Now, in this book by Dr. DeCava, to the left, you see ascorbic acid and its molecular structure, and that is synthesized from glucose, which has 6 carbons in it. And this is sold as USP vitamin C, but it's only part of the structure of natural vitamin C, which is at the right. If you will notice, as you start from the outside in, there are 4 ascorbic acids produced in the plant on the periphery of this vitamin C complex. In addition, into the molecular structure, you have bioflavonoids, you have tyrosinase, which has copper in it. We have shown the importance of cations from the periodic table. Well, there's copper in vitamin C, and then they describe P factors, K factors, and J factors. And at the end of the assay, I will show you radial analysis of these differences in the migration of these natural vitamins versus the synthetic. And we have shown you how iron is important in hemoglobin molecule, that it doesn't convey oxygen without it. And copper is in this structure, is in tyrosinase. So this is why years ago, when in the United States, they were trying to market maraschino cherries vitamin C and saying it was much more bioactive than the USP vitamin C. This is why, because it's the cherries make this molecule on the right. Now, as I pointed out, the ascorbic acid was 4 molecules on the periphery, which have oxidative protection to keep the vitamin C in the reduced state. Now, the P factor, or rutin, strengthens the endothelium and collagen structure of the capillaries. The K factor supports blood coagulation, bone, and other tissues in vitamin C. The J factor supports oxygen transport of hemoglobin, and the tyrosinase with its copper molecule is a biochemical activator. And they feel like evidence shows that it elevates mood, it supports the nervous system, and it reduces the metabolism that leads to fatigue. The bioflavonoid complex are metabolic factors that stabilize vitamin C and reduces pain and bruises, and it supports capillary structure. So this is the various components of the natural vitamin C and what they do when they're taken into the body. I want to give you another example of the importance of the natural structure of vitamins, and it's vitamin E. Now, in the Finland study, due to the history of reduced oral cancer in individuals that ate food with high vitamin E content, they did a clinical study that only contained beta tocopherol, and this study clinically failed. They had to stop it because giving only a portion of the structure of vitamin E, as you can see here, it has a structure they call delta tocopherol at the periphery, then gamma tocopherol, then beta tocopherol, which is the only thing given in this finished study in smokers. And then it's got xanthine, and important at the center of this vitamin is selenium, which we keep wanting to emphasize that various bioactive molecules have a element present that it doesn't function without this trace mineral. And that's why in New Eden, we put humate, which has up to 65 or 75, depending on the assay method used, trace metals. And then they have other factors, which they call factor 1, 2, and 3, as part of the structure of vitamin E is found in nature. Also, the Harvard physicians' vitamin B study failed for the same reason. Only part of the structure of vitamin B structure was used in the study, and they did not use the full complex molecule of the vitamin as it occurs in nature, as was originally found in plant material and the story of vitamin development in scurvy. Now, to approach the end, there is a radial assay where you take the natural vitamin, you put it in the center of a plate that has agar in it and allow it to diffuse naturally to the periphery. Then you spray these plates with reagents that will show you the protein structure or the nucleic acids or the various components that can be shown. And you can compare on the left each of these of the natural vitamin versus the synthetic vitamin, of the difference in the patterns. And it's more intricate and complex components in the natural vitamins. And this is one of the easy ways to detect the difference between the inorganic minerals and components of the synthetic vitamins versus the complex structure of natural vitamins. Now, to summarize this, the synthetic U.S. pharmaceutical vitamin versus the natural vitamins, there is a different molecular structure. And that nature produces a more complex nutrient molecular structure with better bioactivity than can be done in the organic chemistry laboratory to make a pharmaceutical commercial product. And again, it's a recurring theme in biology and the biochemistry of bioactive molecules that you have to have a molecule of iron and hemoglobin. You have to have magnesium present in chlorophyll. You have to have selenium present in vitamin E, copper and vitamin C. And this is found over and over again. And to do this by man-made efforts is extremely expensive and too complex to be able to produce a molecule that people could afford to buy. That vitamin B1 for beriberi, vitamin B3, niacin for pellagra, vitamin A for night blindness, vitamin D for rickets and osteoporosis, and vitamin E for fertility and detoxification, quenching of free radicals, preventing cataracts and macular degeneration, all require a complex molecule as found in nature and is only made in nature. And it's very important that minerals, trace minerals can be very important because iodine alone is very important in disorders that develop in the thyroid, and the tetany, that happens with the skeletal muscles just going into contraction, is an alteration in calcium, magnesium, and potassium. And then, of course, osteoporosis and other bone problems, how important the molecule calcium is. I offer to you that the vitamin story of the importance of different natural molecules is being extended is in a way not expected by the fact of the passage of the dietary supplement law in 1994 as more comprehensive nutrition is provided, that deviations from normal that have come over the years as we have plowed up our gardens, chopped down our orchards, and in the market, fruits and vegetables are provided that are picked green so that there will be a shipping life and a shelf life, that by picking green, this is before the genes in the plant can put the nutrient molecules and make the complex bioactive compounds that are used in cellular synthesis. And one should recognize that the genes are organized to, much like a thermostat on the wall of your house or climate control in your car. What I mean is it's set for comfort. And if it gets too hot, the air conditioning turns on. If it gets too cold, the heater comes on to keep you in the comfort zone. Well, the genes are set much like the thermostat for the normal zone, that it requires nutrients, molecules to run the cascade to increase the activity or the amount of material produced in cellular synthesis. And it also requires nutrient molecules to turn it off or down-regulate it to try to keep it in the normal zone. And this was recognized decades ago by the father of human physiology, named Dr. Hans Selye, that he called this condition homeostasis. So, in final, I hope that this puts into your knowledge base information you may not have known before that supports when you run into the criticism in our society. The brother-in-law that's a doctor or the sister has become a nurse, and they have been, like I was, indoctrinated that only pharmaceuticals can improve health and restore deviations from normal, that in fact, that the organizing, creative, and designing power in the universe that has been one of the biggest mysteries of man, that in the plant kingdom, what the genes inside our body require for normal health have been provided, and that the diet is so important to be diverse with many different types of different nutrient molecules to supply what the genes require for optimal health. That's the end of this session about the natural vitamins versus synthetic vitamins. Thank you.